So hello, David Stewart here of David Stewart Magic, and today I have a special guest, Caroline Rushforth, who was my business mentor, not partner, a few years ago through the Prince's Trust, and you have you helped me start up my business and have taught me a lot in the psychology world, the NLP world, and kind of pointed the direction of where to go, what to do, how to start. And yeah, I've always had lots of interesting chats along the way. So Caroline, would you like to tell us a bit about you and what you do and what we're going to be talking about today?
Sure. So thank you for that lovely intro, David. So I'm a mind mastery coach, mentor, and trainer. And I in particularly work with anxiety, people who suffer with anxiety, depression, negative thinking. And I help people to basically reprogram their thoughts, feelings, and emotions so they have more energy and fun in life.
Awesome, that's very cool. So I specifically wanted to speak to you today about these sorts of things because we are currently in March 2020 when a lot of strange things are happening in the world with a giant virus outbreak, and it's very strange, and we've never seen it before. A lot of people aren't really sure what's going on, when it's gonna end, and how to make it through. And I've I've been digging deep into hypnosis and the hypnotherapy world, and speaking to a lot of people in that area, and I've come out with some really helpful tools and techniques that when you practice them, they work. They change the way you think, the way you see the world, the way you see yourself, and put you in a positive mind frame, and a mind frame that, I can achieve this, I can do this, I can manage this, I can tune in with myself and how I feel, and sort of take time out. So what would you advise to people in this time, or what tips and techniques and tools can they use and look into?
Yeah, sure. So, what I would say is the most important thing for people to do is to create some kind of routine. Routine is really important rather than just waking up and just kind of feeling like, not really doing much or not being very productive. For some people that might be, if you're a female, just putting your makeup on, or for a male, just going out for I don't know, bike ride or doing some weights in the garden or something. But to actually, obviously routine is going to be slightly different to what you're used to, but to actually have some routine throughout the day is going to actually be really helpful in giving your mind something to focus on, to give your attention span something to focus on, and to feel productivity, to obviously burn some energy off, and just have that sort of sense of certainty throughout the day, because uncertainty is generally what a lot of people are feeling at the moment. There's very lack of clarity, and we're all just trying to find this kind of, well, what's going to happen next? Will I be safe? Will I be okay? So having routines, during the day, or throughout the week, making that kind of like a regular thing is going to really bring some certainty into your world, and that's ultimately going to help with your mindset. Um, I actually think, been doing a bit of reflecting on this myself, and as a life coach and somebody who helps people to sort of move forward in their life and get them unstuck, now's a really good time to actually think about, am I happy with the way my life's going? Am I happy with what I'm doing with my life? Because I think when things like this happen, it can make us really review what's working and what isn't. Um, some people would obviously be self-isolating with their family. Some people will be self-isolating on their own. What is going on in the dynamics of the family? Is there some healing that perhaps needs to take place, or how are you feeling kind of being in that dynamic? Or often it's really just us who need to work on ourselves, within the family. But I'm not suggesting that you go into some therapy session or anything, but yeah, just to kind of be aware and just obviously acknowledge what's happening in that dynamic, and how you can kind of all work well together, work within a team, get some kind of routine going within the family. And obviously, if you're on your own, how's that feeling being on your own? Are you okay being on your own? What feelings and emotions are coming up? Because being on our own is one of the most healing things we can do for ourselves. It's an opportunity for us to really kind of connect with our body, to connect with our mind. We are often rushing and dashing around in life. And what happens when you're busy is you just kind of completely disconnect from yourself. So use this time to just really connect with what's going on in your body. What does your body need more of? What does it need less of? How's your diet been? What's your nutrition like? Have you had a routine before, or has it just been go to work? Is self-discipline working? Because we're all having to be quite self-disciplined as well. And just kind of like, notice what these things are, what's going on, what things are coming up, and, use this opportunity to just really connect with you, being you.
That all sounds good. Yeah. Discipline. Um, oh my god, there was a lot there.
Yeah, I was aware. I was thinking. I've got more to share if you like.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So, how would you maintain that in the future as well? I guess once you start practicing it now and get the ball rolling, then even when you're going back to work and get back into that
Exactly, and hopefully people are going to
part
be.
of your life.
Pardon?
Hopefully, it'll just become a part of your life.
Yeah, because we can all get into bad habits, can't we? We can all sort of end up doing things that just become very much a process, or very much kind of on autopilot. Um, I think that, taking time to sort of notice what we're putting into our bodies as well is really important. Immune system is obviously like the big buzzword at the moment. How is diet? How is, the amount of fruit and veg that you're eating? How are you eating regularly throughout the day? Are you overeating? Are you emotionally eating? Because I can imagine that something like this is going to certainly trigger perhaps some of those weaknesses.
Mm.
Um, and out of that, what is it that you would like to do differently or like to change?
Yeah.
And now's the opportunity to review that and take control.
Yeah, I did looking through your articles, um, find something really interesting about this. I think it was about breaking bad habits and addictions and things, and um, I wrote something down because it made me instantly, as soon as I read it, pick up my drum practice pad, and instead of, I've got a few little habits that I don't really think about. They're totally unconscious.
Mhm.
Whether it's drinking too much tea or just even procrastinating can become a bit of a habit, just kind of doing anything else. Um, and it just sort of clicked in my head and thought, if I pick up this practice pad and just start playing and make that the habit instead of putting the kettle on again or whatever I'm
Ah.
doing. Clicking my fingers is a big one. I need to. And it just
Brilliant. Yeah, sort one thing for another. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, something that's more helpful or more resourceful, or has a healthier impact on the
yeah,
mindset, definitely. Because although habits go into the body, we train our our body through our mind. And sometimes we do things we don't even realize we're doing them because we've just completely trained our body to respond, or automatically.
Mm.
So it's great that you were able to sort of bring that back and notice and
Yeah.
change the habit around. So yeah.
And it's even just the small things, like um, it's just a simple exercise on a drum pad. But as soon as you start, your mind has gone in a new direction. So I think
Yep.
the key thing is that it's like now you're on this path instead of this one.
Yeah, so breaking the state, breaking the habit, definitely, and
Yeah.
that's also kind of relevant to negative thoughts as well. We can train our body to respond in a certain way, and we can also train our thoughts to point in a certain direction. And obviously, in the first kind of few weeks that this pandemic hit, was a lot of people were focusing on the fear, focusing on the worry and the panic and the anxiety and listening to the news and just kind of reinforcing their fears. And that, it doesn't serve us in a positive way to keep thinking about the worst possible case scenario. It just doesn't. And
Yeah.
when you're in that place, you can't think of a solution, you can't think of a way out. It's just like you just get consumed by the negativity. So if you do already have a bit of a weakness around your thoughts and your emotions, then just kind of be aware about what you're feeding your mind. What are you putting into your mind? Because it's you don't want to be perpetuating those fear programs that are already there and making them and magnifying them a lot, making them a lot worse. So that kind of brings me on to wanting to mention about gratitude. And gratitude is something that actually changes the state in our body, changes the thoughts in our mind, and gets the mind focusing and thinking about everything that is going well, the things that are going well, the things that we appreciate, the things that we love, the things that bring us joy. And that will have an impact on the body and on the mind to start thinking in that way. And when you start noticing what is going well, what we already can be grateful for, even if it's just having a bed to sleep in every night, a roof over our head, food in the cupboards. Might not be a lot of food, but what is it? I mean, it's like, I think I heard someone saying something about the war. When the war hit, everyone had to kind of leave the house. The men had to go out and do the fights and everything, and we're just all being asked to sit on our couch to just stay at home.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just filling the mind with good feeling thoughts. What is it that you can be grateful for? Is it just, being able to look out the window and see the birds singing? Nature gives us so much feedback, and we're seeing that in how things are just kind of like regenerating suddenly because there aren't loads of planes in the sky and boats in the water, and
Mm.
wildlife's coming out. And but it's a very self-sustaining, nature is very self-sustaining, isn't it? It doesn't need all of the materialistic stuff that we have, as a society, and got used to living our lives and relying on these kind of gadgets, and suddenly the flights have stopped and we can't travel around and things. And what is it in nature that we can really kind of take peace from, and knowing and wisdom, because it's there, it's a beautiful thing. Spending time in nature is also really good for the mindset. But yeah, just having gratitude for that, the gratitude to see nature around us and just see how self-sustaining it is. What can we learn from nature? What is it that we can look out the window and we can see a beautiful bird singing a song. I really love the sound of birds singing. I feel like it really like attunes the mind. I always feel like I'm getting a bit of a kind of reprogram whenever I kind of listen to the birds, like a tuning up. Listening to nature, I think it's a lovely thing. So, just little things like that are going to make a person shift their mindset from fear into, oh, that actually feels really good. Oh, I want more of that. Oh, I feel lighter now because I'm not thinking about all of that heaviness. So gratitude, really important. If you can get into the habit of doing that every day, even if it's just 3 things. I don't tend to sort of spend time writing things down. I used to, but it's so in me now. I've programmed myself to be grateful every day. But for many people out there that perhaps haven't got that habit going yet, take a piece of paper or a pad, have a gratitude journal, and start to get into the habit of just writing down 3 things or 5 things that you're grateful for every day. And then when you're having those moments of panic or anxiety or worry or uncertainty, you can just take your journal out, read through them, remind yourself that everything's okay and what you're grateful for, and get your body feeling, get your mind and your body feeling better again. So there's another tip for you
Cool.
guys.
That's good. Yeah, I remember a book you recommended to me, Living with Joy.
Oh, look, I have it here. My
Yeah,
favourite. You
I have
probably
it
can't see it
here.
'cause it's the wrong way around. Best book ever if you're a spiritual person. It's called Living with Joy by Sanaya Roman, and it is my life toolkit. And I have recommended that to pretty much every client I've worked with, if they're sort of spiritual nature. It is an amazing book.
Yeah,
Very, very warm and loving.
yeah, lots of nice, happy um, reminders in there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. So, what are your plans then? I'm interested to know some things that you're working on at the moment or
Hmm.
over the next few months or this year. Any goals or ambitions or things you're learning or working on?
Well, I think the most important thing for me is to keep my exercise regime up. I was a bit of a gym lover. Don't know if that's the right word. But I got into a really joyful routine of swimming and gymming, and yeah, unfortunately that stopped. So yeah, it's all about the running outside in nature and taking my bike out. I managed to get out on my bike the other day. So yeah, just incorporating doing some exercise. A lot of my face-to-face client work is paused at the moment, but doing some online sessions, but actually doing so my hobby is astrology. I absolutely love it. I've been studying astrology for many years, and I've actually got some astrology charts booked in to read for other people. So that's exciting, and it's actually a part of what I do that I've sort of started to bring in more now. It's another tool that I'm sort of bringing more into my work, because where the planets are positioned in our birth chart can tell a lot about us and our life, and from a psychological aspect, it's really useful and really helpful, and helps us to understand ourselves and why we do things the way we do sometimes, and why is it that perhaps if you've got in a family dynamic, if you've got someone who's got a lot of water and earth, and another person who's got a lot of air and fire, why that just doesn't kind of mix very well, and how you can kind of work together to sort of yeah, understand your chart really. So yeah, so I'm going to be working on a project around that, putting a website together to um, write more about astrology and transits and birth chart readings and things. So yeah, so that'll keep me busy. And obviously, yeah, any sort of online coaching sessions will happen now on Zoom. So
Yeah. Yeah, another day I would like to properly uh, dive into a bit of astrology. Um,
ah,
I think it was probably about a year ago now. Um, you advised me to look into my birth chart, and it's a whole other world, that's for sure. Lots of words and things that I don't fully understand. I'm getting there, but it's fascinating, and um, it does make sense when you just take a bit of time to read it properly and look into it a little bit. Um, but I'm still in the early stages of that, so
yeah, and I think I don't think you're alone there. What I've certainly learned through working with people and chart reading is it's like any skill, isn't it? It's like any skill or something you just find you're naturally, any skill or talent, something that you find you're naturally good at. You kind of think that everyone else can do it, and it isn't actually that at all. I actually thought that, well, hey, if you can read your chart and understand your chart, then off you go. Suddenly you become a great astrologer. You're able to really understand it. But what I'm realizing is actually that isn't necessarily for everyone. But that's, it's not to say that that's right or wrong in any way. It's just that it's like you have hairdressers who are skilled and love doing hair because that's what they're really good at. You've got fashion designers that do fashion because that's what they're really good at. Doesn't mean to say that I'd want to go off and learn hairdressing and fashion, or woodwork or whatever. We all have skills and talents that we bring. So, you've got to really want to sort of learn it and be very dedicated to, I think, learn it to the point of an astrologer. But that's why there are astrologers in the world, because it's a service that they're offering to help people to just understand themselves. I mean, really, it's more than a personality profiling, but it's just really interesting when you're able to look into the future and kind of look at planetary transits, collective transits, and you can sort of get an idea about what's coming, what might come, by looking back through history and obviously seeing what was happening around a similar time that those transits took place. And it's actually really relevant because there was a very, very important and extraordinary once every 38 years grand conjunction between Pluto and Saturn in January. We also in Capricorn, and we've had many eclipses in Capricorn over these last 18 months as well. Eclipses in Capricorn and Cancer, which are naturally opposite in the chart. But this grand conjunction is something that astrologers have been talking about for a long time, and it came, and everyone was sort of, we had Brexit, and we had the Australian fires, and then suddenly obviously the CV thing came in, and everyone's in lockdown. And what I just find so fascinating, I mean, when you're able to kind of like read the energy of what's going on, and look at the transits that are happening, I just found it so amusing and just extraordinary, but also very predictable, that Saturn, which is a planet of limitation and restriction and contraction and compression, moves into Aquarius, which is the sign of freedom and community and socializing and big groups. Saturn the restrictor moved into Aquarius just literally a few days ago, around the 21st of March, and here we all are.
Unable to go out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like incredible. I mean, that is kind of like astrology symbolism just playing out in such a profound way. Because I think obviously because there was the conjunction in Capricorn, which we've just had, between Pluto and Saturn. Saturn's now moved out of Capricorn into Aquarius, only like 0 or 1 degrees now. I think because there was such big energy with the eclipse that happened in Capricorn on the 26th of December, we've had so much energy, and Earth energy is very static, and it's very heavy, and it's very sort of, it doesn't move around like air and fire, it's very stuck. So this energy, it's almost kind of like, it's just kind of here, and it's like a sort of bit weighty. And but as we start to move out of Earth into air, which is where the planets are heading towards, we're going to see a real shift happening. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to confuse people by going off on an astrology tangent, but it is just incredibly interesting sort of seeing it play out on the world stage. And every time I'm just like, it just completely confirms everything I've learned, and just everything that I know, and just yeah. So that's really fascinating, and I think that it's a really important tool for us to learn about and know about, and like I say, bringing it more into my client work as well, with the work that I do on working
I'm interested to know how long Saturn is going to be in was it
Aquarius. Yeah, well, it moves. So Saturn is in Aquarius until July, and then Saturn will be retrograde. I don't know why I call it he, but sometimes astrologers do that. We give them gender specific, but just ignore that. So Saturn is moving back out and into Capricorn from July to the end of this year, and then there's a great conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter on the 21st of December, which is going to be really exciting. So that's another one to watch, but it's going to bring, I think that's, to me, like, I feel like that's when we're going to feel a real sense of freedom. I just have a feeling with this CV stuff that I don't think we're going to be quite out of the woods by the end of the spring. I mean, it might feel like we are, but there could be dips. But perhaps around the Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. Jupiter is like the planet of, it's like the benefic planet of luck and expansion and positivity and optimism, rules Sagittarius.
Right.
And yeah, basically, I think that's when we'll probably really start to feel normality. I don't know, whatever normality feels like, but that to me, I think, is one to watch for. Like, freedom's going to feel really strong, and we'll hopefully just start to move into calmer, freer, happier social waters. That'd be interesting. We have got another conjunction coming up, but I don't want to,
We'll
keep going on about astrology. But
save that
we've got another one coming up in about, it might be exact on the 4th of April, but it's happening now. And that is Jupiter and Pluto conjunct. So conjunction is where two planets are really close in the sky, so their energies blend. And the outer planets are, they bring a lot of strong energy, which is Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter are three out of
Saturn,
the bigger planets.
and Jupiter.
So we've got a Pluto and Jupiter conjunction happening in the next few days, which is the millionaires aspect. It's generally you see that in a lot of rich people's charts. They'll have Jupiter and Pluto close together in their chart. A lot of money can be made with that aspect. A lot of money, not necessarily a lot of money. It just is, Pluto's kind of like the destroyer, the kind of breaks things down, renewal, reboots, and Jupiter's obviously the great benefic. So, and Pluto likes to kind of build things up again. It likes to kind of burn it down and then rebuild it in a better way. Reminds me of the tarot card, the Tower card in the tarot. But that's happening in the next few days, so that'd be interesting to see what that brings.
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
But I don't want to confuse everybody with astrology because there's so much to learn. Yeah. But I hope that my tips have helped. I think that's the most important thing. We just need to focus on looking after ourselves and looking out for each other, and having compassion for our fellow neighbours, friends, for each other, really, because if you can't have a bit of compassion in these times, then what's the point?
Well, I'm still doing my magic out and about everywhere, even if people...
Are you? What, on the street?
Kind of. Well, I've still got to go to work online, in the studio, behind a drum kit, but on the way I'll always offer to show some people some magic, just to...
From your 3 meters or whatever it is, yeah?
3 meters apart. I'll show you from back here if I have to.
Yeah.
Generally, it's nice just to show some people something a bit different and break up their routine a bit, and
a little bit of sprinkling of good cheer amongst everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, imagine if we all did that, if we were all able to sort of sprinkle a little bit of good feel magic upon each other. I'm really noticing that. We sort of went through this kind of fear and worry kind of phase, and I think now everyone's just kind of being a bit humorous and trying to not take it too, take it too seriously, but you got to add humour. Anytime you can add a bit of humour in, just to break that state of misery and unhappiness and disbelief, you've got to just... We're so much more resourceful when we're thinking about solutions and feeling happy and feeling upbeat and feeling in a good high vibration, rather than focusing on what isn't working, what might happen, the coulds, the woulds. Fear is very much an illusion. It's an imagined outcome of something, so it's not helpful to just sit there and imagine the worst possible scenario, because most of the time it never really works out that way. It's just all in the mind. So I would also like to add about just really kind of staying in the present. To be honest, I don't really think there's anywhere else we can be at the moment, but being in the present is so important. In just to kind of, when you're in the present, you just cannot like the worry goes, the fear goes, everything just goes. You can't worry and be fearful and feel uncertain or feel unsafe when you're in the present. So I think it's a really nice kind of feel in the energy at the moment where people are just literally taking things day by day. We can't really think about what's going to happen next week. We just got to get on with the day, and we've got to just, focus on being here and supporting each other, really. So
Yeah, that's definitely true. Um, Yoga and meditation has been part of my morning routine, and it really wakes me up. And even though you would think it's kind of the opposite, it's not very active, but
yeah,
just stretching and moving and um, just getting in touch with yourself,
yeah,
how you feel, and where's tense, and loosening it up, and going, actually, today's going to be a good day.
yeah, definitely. Love that. Set an intention first thing in the morning. How do you want your day to go? I want to have fun. I want to have joy. I want to have pleasure or whatever.
Mm.
And just, give yourself 3 intentions every morning so that your day isn't running you, but you are running the day. So, yeah, really good point on that, David.
Yeah. Um, and at night, a bit of self-hypnosis and reflection, and um, Carl Jung at the moment.
He was a great astrologer fan.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
Big psychologist,
Mystic psychologist.
mystic psychologist, yeah.
I was gonna set up a website and call it that, but I didn't in the end.
Psychologist.
Like that's certainly sometimes I feel like I'm being a bit of a mystic psychologist.
Yeah. It's good to be able to combine them both, I think, is interesting. Another thing I was going to say about the birth chart was when I read mine, yeah, it just put everything into perspective. It was like someone was reading my life, and I've written something down. It was Alain de Botton.
No, I don't think so.
He set
Not
up
heard.
the School of Life, and
Oh yeah.
he's got lots of videos on YouTube and a few books and things. And he says spirituality has the tendency to be very divided, with people who treat it like some kind of special stone that is beautiful, precious, and treasured, and like a special kind of experience that is so valuable it's best left unexplored and pure without disturbing it with the cold hand of reason.
Mm.
For others, the word spiritual is nonsensical bunkum with appeal only to adolescent dreamers, the unemployed, and the weak-minded.
Gosh.
Quite funny. Um, and I can see the truth in that. Because I put a bit of astrology into my magic performances, just a little bit, try and read people's star signs, that sort of thing.
Oh.
And more often than not, people say they don't either know anything about it or are just quite skeptical naturally. And I'd say, yeah, just Google your birth chart, put in the day and time you were born, and you'll be surprised how much it can actually tell you.
Yeah, and we're not just our sun. I mean, I like to play a little game sometimes when I meet people for the first time, and I'm quite good at reading energy. That's one of my strengths that I have realized over the years. Actually, I'm very intuitive and I can read people's energy very easily, and which obviously helps with my work. But you have to be, yeah, you do have to. I would hate to think that there are people out there that just think that they can guess someone just on their sun sign, because it's very much about the moon and the rising,
Yeah,
where your Mercury is. But there, yeah, it's a good fun game. But yeah, definitely getting the chart read, understanding um, where your planets are, understanding how that works. Well, the other thing that I'm a really big fan of when I'm reading charts for people is the North Node. For people certainly who are feeling a bit lost in their career and work, looking at which houses are ruled by which planets. So you've got work houses in your chart as well. And the North Node, where's that sit in your chart, because that gives you a really good indication as to what your here to do. What kind of area you're going to get the most joy and fulfillment from if you make that part of your work, part of your career.
What does North Node actually mean?
So North Node is basically they look like little headphones. So you got like your North Node and your South. So the South Node is that the headphones upside down, and they will be in your chart somewhere. And the South Node is supposedly where we came from, our past lives, perhaps what we bring with us into this life.
Hmm.
And the North Node is about where we're going, where we're heading towards, what we're meant to be doing more of. And actually, sometimes those can be the things that feel the most uncomfortable
Yeah.
because we're here to learn, and it's very easy to want to fall back into your South Node where it just feels very comfortable. It's like, oh, that's very familiar. But there are there's wisdom and skills and knowledge that we bring from our South Node, but in this life and in any life, we're here to grow and learn and to expand, and the mind loves to learn and grow. That's what the mind wants to do. Um, so the more that something feels a little bit uncomfortable, then the better, because that's where you're going to get your kind of growth from.
Yeah.
And I just think that the North Node is a really good indicator of that. Um, yeah, I'm just looking at my chart, which I'm looking up there.
I do.
Uh,
You probably have a big map of.
I have my chart up on the wall. I have one in my bedroom. Yeah, yeah. If you can just get to know your own chart, then you're onto a winning streak.
Awesome.
It's like, yeah, I have it, yeah, in my office and in my bedroom. So
I do the same.
I'm just constantly connected to it.
That's cool. All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Um, to sum up, um, stay positive, stay
Yeah.
happy, and um, stay creative.
Yeah. Yeah, creativity.
Mm.
Make sure you do lots of that during these times. Great opportunity to be creative. So yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I've got a few of these lined up with a few different people, so quite interested to see what I'm going to end up talking about and what I'm going to learn and where it's going to go. So it'll be fun.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah,
Let the flow happen.
yeah.
Well, you have a lovely rest of the day.
Yes, enjoy your next meeting as well,
Thank you.
and
Yeah, will do.
I will speak to you very soon.
Yeah, take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.